Hey everybody, Jazzy here. Here's my recap for year 18 of Thrill of the Grill, my solo Warly world over on Twitch. At the top of autumn, I was harvesting barnacles from the seaweeds and a shark spawned and started attacking one. I always get nervous whenever something hurts a seaweed because they have this tendency to turn around and start attacking me. But this time the plant starts spewing at the shark. I wasn't quite sure who was gonna win. I mean, the shark attack, it's not as strong as the weed's projectile, but the shark has tons of HP and it can easily dodge attacks. In the end, the shark emerged victorious, so when he started attacking other seaweeds, I figured it was time to put him down. Sailing back and heading over to the deciduous forest to plant the annual birch nut grove. So last time we got so many birch nuts dropped and I just left the majority of them on the ground. Fortunately, as I unloaded and reloaded this area, the rot from those birch nuts slowly stacked together. So now I can just pick up the rot that very conveniently stacked, rather than spend like half a day picking up individual birch nuts. I wish more stuff stacked off screen, like, oh, I don't know, logs? It's a pipe dream, I know, I'm sorry. Anyway, since I'm showing footage of planting trees, I'll do the obligatory plug of Action Q Reborn, which lets me auto-plant, auto-craft, auto-pick, and auto-heal Berger. My client mod collection is in the description. I'm spending the early part of the year putting the finishing touches onto my bee park. I didn't want to use busted wooden walls because it was going to oversaturate the build. Things are already very close together. I also wanted the build to feel like an open park, so I didn't want to just fence off every single patch. So I settled on lining the top of each zone with wood walls and ash fences. I think it complements the color scheme of the bee boxes without intruding too much. The spots with diagonal fencing, I'm actually going to smash down some wood walls in front just to cover the awkward transition between turf that happens there. Taking a break from the building to go fight the shadow pieces. Now this time I wanted to give the bishop a try. Out of all the tier 3 pieces, the bishop has the lowest HP, so in theory it should take a lot less time to kill it. The problem is the bishop's attack lasts a lot longer than other pieces, so even if I'm not swinging as many times, I'm still running around waiting for the next opportunity to attack. At least with the rook, I can dodge and then go straight back to swinging. So the jury's still out on this one, but at least I can say I did it once. Doing the Berger harvest, and again, we pop this absolute horde of poison birch nuts. 8 in one go. This is ridiculous. I need to basically lure Berger away from the trees immediately and try lining him up to charge straight back through the trees. I'm holding honey, so Berger basically re-aggroes on me immediately no matter what other mobs he fights. And that's good because I need to keep control of him. Some of the tree attacks actually hit him as he's charging back through, but thankfully it doesn't stop his charge. I'm never doing this again without weather panes, I swear. To heal the guy this year, I'm gonna gift him 40 Glommer Goop. That's 1600 HP back, so he's probably fully healed at this point. And for dessert, chat wanted me to feed him some Glowberry Mousse. If we ever get Steam achievements in DST, which we won't, one achievement needs to be called Glowberry, so we can flex for making Berger cosplay as a firefly. A few days later, I'm throwing up a scaled chest at the Hound Trap. One of the recurring tasks that's been taking up a lot of my time is carrying all the meat from Hound Waves back to my kitchen. Since I've got plenty of rope, what I would rather do is just immediately bundle monster meat from hounds and drumsticks from vultures. Then I'll grab the bundles whenever it's time to cook up a large batch of meaty stew. It's just a small adjustment that's gonna save a lot of accumulated travel time. Day 12-11, I'm back at the Moonstone for the event, and check it out, it broke again. So the lesson here is, don't leave the staff in the Moonstone. Just place it right before the event. Otherwise, the event will just run off screen and everything will be broken when you come back. Day 12-15, we finally do it. For the first time in the run, we do a no damage Klaus kill. It only took 2 months worth of practice during Winter's Feast, but we finally pulled it off. The biggest challenge to avoiding damage is the ice cast, because there's not enough time to run away before the spell comes down. So I'm using a bunch of speed boosting gear to try and outrun the spell, but it involves a bit of a sidestep and then a last minute change in direction to fake out the movement tracking. I'll put a link to the full fight in the description. And I'm rewarded for my vigilant battle with a shroom skin. thanks. Day 1219, I'm calling the bee park done. Walls are up, plenty of decorations, berry bushes, and trees. I'm really proud of this build in case you were wondering. I'm learning so much about approaching these larger builds, but one of the big lessons with this build was to recognize when to stop building. I can easily spend seasons and entire years just adding more and more detail to a build, but it can quickly get oversaturated, and a viewer won't really be able to process all the detail anyway. It's a late game problem, I know, but it's part of the game that really interests me at this point. Another project I have for winter is the Dragonfly Desert. Now, one of my biggest fears is that a tumbleweed will catch on fire and just roll through my base, so I'm building a wall the entire length of the desert. This will hopefully keep newly spawned tumbleweeds from rolling out, but there are still lots of tumbleweeds that are already outside of the desert. So when I see one, I'm gonna try and pick it and then let them respawn back in the desert and just pray that they stay inside. I also wanted to work a little bit on the zone we've been using for the forest stalker. Now, I actually spent a lot of time trying to decide on the turf. I tried Moon Crater turf and pretty much all of the different fungal turfs, but none of them really gelled. Eventually I settled on a pretty simple layout of carpet and cave rock turf. And then I surrounded the build with rocky beach turf, which is a very nice filler turf because it's not loud, it goes underneath pretty much every turf besides cobble, and it blocks lure plants. The first decoration I'm going to throw up is some potted ferns. It makes sense considering we'll be farming foliage from the stalker. The broken shells are a bit annoying to collect, but we got a bunch from Pearl Shell Bells, so it's all good. Next up, I want some skellies to keep the big unit company, so we're gonna lure a bunny man over and hold a single egg in an unmistakable act of war. At least I'm getting better skeletons this time. Over at the Hound Trap, it felt like I was getting nothing but the skeleton with his face in the ground. Like, come on, I want to see some smiles. I guess I don't use life-giving amulets all that much because I had no idea that reviving with one puts nearby mobs to sleep. Look how peaceful this light bug looks. Seriously, I had no idea this was a thing. For the back section of the stalker pad, I'm going to put down some end tables, which also makes sense because we can give them light bulbs and lesser glow berries from the stalker. I think they now last up to 10 days in an end table, which it's a nice little quality of life change. Now, I was planning to put walls all around the build, but one of the skeletons is actually going to prevent me from placing a couple walls. So instead of hammering and dying again just to reposition the skeleton, I decided to just put walls on the front and back. I'm using stone walls, and the whole idea is to give the build a kind of ruinous feel. So I'm intentionally using the level of stone walls that look incomplete, which is kind of a rare thing in my builds. But yeah, at this point, I'm calling this project done and moving on. I'm throwing up a few decorations around the gecko pen. Now, these spots of carpet have been empty for a while, and I never properly finished the look. Probably because I'm busy picking the grass or herding geckos back inside if I actually have the time to focus on it. But for now, we can add a few moon dials and furnaces. I still need to think about what to do with the back two spots. I want to fight Fuelweaver soon, so I'm back on the Lunar Island crafting up one more batch of glass cutters. I think that this will be the last of the glass cutters that I make. They're nice for a Fuelweaver, but they're expensive and they're kind of annoying to farm for. Plus, with my current setup, I can just as easily use handbats or dark swords. So in the future, I'd rather just save the moon glass for statues. Back home, I was looking to harvest some leafy meat, but the meat I picked was close to spoiling. So instead of picking the rest, I just waited around the lure plants for a minute. Check this out. At the moment their lure spoils, they retract, and then a moment later they put up a 100% fresh leafy meat. The reason I didn't just pick all the spoiled meat because it takes the lure plant 2 days to produce a new one. But if the meat is close to spoiled, then sometimes it's more time efficient to just wait for the lure plant to replace it with some fresh meat. Okay, this year I want to kill Fuelweaver and then go straight to clearing the ruins. First stop is to the pseudoscience station to craft up a handful of lazy explorers before everything resets. I had recently farmed a bunch of walrus tusks, so it'll feel good to refill my supply of orange sticks. I'm back at the atrium topping off my sanity at an ancient obelisk. It's a bit on the slow side though, and if I'm trying to get this fight done as quickly as possible, then it might be useful to bring 2 sanity foods to the atrium in the future. One to top off my sanity before the fight, and one to use during the fight. Warley's food penalty won't let me use one food for both purposes, so maybe I'll bring down a few ice cream next time. The Fuelweaver fight was fine, but I was having some issues targeting the woven shadows. It's like the attack target was slow to update, and I ended up trying to hit Fuelweaver even if I was closer to the shadows. So because of that, he healed a few few times, and I probably used more weather pane hits than I needed to, but it's fine. We got another bone armor, and now I'm gonna head straight into the ruins and start clearing. It's nice to be here right at the top of summer. Takes a bit of pressure off me to speed through everything by the end of the season. Ancient Guardian dead at day 1249, and the mediocre loot is consistent with the last few large ornate chests. Well, the orange gems I'm taking as a sign to go poof around a bit and clear the labyrinth. It was actually well worth the effort. From the lab chest we got 4 more orange, 4 purple, 7 reds, and a green gem. Making that thick stash jealous, boys. I decided that I want to move out of the pseudo station set piece. I can't really access it during the nightmare phase until I deal with the nightmare horde, and I'd rather not have to wear a bee queen crown every time I want to craft some walls. So I'm picking another station that's far away from rooks, and I'm upgrading it with thulecite. These stations will stay upgraded even after you reset the ruins. If they get destroyed by a rook or a cave-in, then the next reset will just spawn a damaged station back in. Ruins are cleared with a few summer days to spare. I'm bringing back some crowns, some lazy foragers, and construction amulets, not to mention the lazy explorers, and 2 new dog spankers for the hound trap. Back on the surface, last day of summer, I literally ran straight to Antlion to give her some trinks, but she started raging as I got like half a screen away. I freaked out and ran to the side with the sinkholes, but if I was thinking straight, I would have let them spawn around Antlion because she was about to despawn and I wasn't going to be building around her arena anyways. Oh well. That's it for year 18. Next time we're going to revisit the ruins and get our new station all set up with some proper storage. We're going to try completely revamping the gecko pen and kind of fail. We're going to decorate the entryway to the bee park, and we're going to lose an entire season to messing around with the new Year of the Beefalo event. I hope you enjoyed the recap, and maybe next time we can catch you live over on Twitch. Take care.